Does time seem to get away from you? Would you like to learn some secrets to time management and having better energy? Well, then you're in the right place. I'm Kat Moulton, your guide to unleash the real you. And today we have a returning guest, Beth Hankin of Beth Hankin Wellness, and the founder of her signature program, Back to Me, to dive right in to manage our time and energy a little bit better without overwhelm. So, Beth, welcome back to the show.
Hi, Kat. It's great to be back. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm glad you're here. We had such a great conversation last time about redefining hustle and getting into some personal stories. And
Mhm.
really excited today to get a little more tactical with you for to share with our viewers how they can really focus, their energy and not be overwhelmed, but stay on point, to create their work in the world.
Absolutely. It's a subject I'm super passionate about, as you probably picked up on in our first conversation. We went, and that's a great place to start for your audience if they haven't seen that, to go to episode 1, where we really talk about that personal experience, but that reconnecting to self to help us stop operating like robots in the world, which is, the standard American lifestyle. It's what we're doing. We're just churning. And wait, how do we pull up out of that, right? How do we actually wake up? It's like the great awakening, if you will. And that's, so that I'm super passionate about that. That's step number 1. But today, let's talk about some action steps, right? Let's talk about things that people can do today, immediately, to
Awesome.
not to get out of that, off that treadmill, right? And to just take control of their days back. It's
Mm,
it's
that's
so I know it gives me a chill to think of it, just how empowering, just how life-changing it is.
It is life changing, like to take
Mhm.
back your time, like reclaim your energy and get done the things that are important to you and still have time to, have fun and feel good, instead of stressed out. That's why I love last time when we talked about redefining hustle.
Yep.
So now what would you say is the place to start for someone
Yeah.
who is overwhelmed and needs to focus on priorities and has trouble?
Yep. And I'm gonna say that this is so simple
Mm,
and yet so powerful. So, and I'm only talking about maybe 5 minutes here. So we'll spend the next half hour talking about this sort of dream it, plan it, do it model.
yeah.
But it's literally, you can start your day with a 5-minute exercise, but it can be the difference between being awake in your day and intentional with your time versus just immediately going into, that autopilot mode. The best place to start. So remember, in episode 1, we talked all about that reconnecting to self,
Yeah.
right? Realigning to what's important to me. And the only way that I can do that is by going internal, right? All day long, we're operating externally, we're focusing out there, we're giving away our time and our energy. All I would suggest, oh, do you have,
No, go ahead.
okay. All I would suggest is take 5 minutes, take 2 minutes, if that's all that you can spare in your morning, before you even get out of bed. Now, this is the important part though. Before you pick up this device, because I'm willing to bet that the majority of the audience, first thing when they wake up, grabs their phone and looks at their phone. And when you do that, you're giving away your energy immediately to the external world. You're giving your emotional energy, your mental energy, your physical, you're giving it, you're focusing immediately external. If you can take 2 minutes, really, make sure that you're awake, sit up in bed so you're awake, close your eyes, and just take a few rounds of breathing and just think about, envision. And I do training sessions where I walk, free webinars where I walk people through these exercises to help them really. I won't do it here today. We can give people links to access these exercises to practice them. But just visualize your day, how you want to feel, what you want it to look like. And as you're doing that, just breathe in deep through your nose and out through your mouth. That breathing is really energizing you. It's waking you up. It's like getting out of bed and stretching, which I'd recommend as your next step, but we don't have to move to the other day. But it's energizing. That, your breath is your life force. It's
Right.
energizing you. And breathing deep, like taking those deep breaths, and just focusing for a few minutes on what's important to you, on how you want to feel in your day. Start there. Now, again, knowing, defining that, knowing that was all of episode number 1, right? Waking up to that.
To know how
So
to
start every day from that place. And then, so that's the dream it, right? So dream it and connect to it. And we can get more into that in just a bit. But well, let's stay there actually. Sorry, I'm jumping around on you. So do that. If you are one of those people that you keep picking up your phone, you need to pick up your phone, kids, things, whatever. The next thing I would suggest is then when you're getting ready for your day, try to leave your phone out of the bathroom. So if you can't do it first thing out of bed, if pets, if kids, if you're just, how you wake up is someone's, looking for your attention. The next suggestion I would have is while you're getting ready, leave your phone out of the bathroom. You're looking at yourself in the mirror, you're engaged. Think a little bit about your intentions, your day, what you want. Just connect to self. And a tip I have, so I've got a tip for each. So this is step 1, is the dream it, and connecting to your vision, your dream, and staying aligned with that. I have a frame so I have a mirror in my bathroom with a little ledge on it, and I've got a frame there. And I often have either a mantra or a few words when I meditate that come to me, things that are aligned to me. I put them in that frame. And I switch them out sometimes monthly. My kids pop into the bathroom, see, oh, what's mom? And I see them, like they'll repeat my words, but it's a nice reminder. So it could be, even if it's a goal, whatever it is for you, keep it front and center. You're looking at that. You're not brushing your teeth and looking at your phone. You're engaging with yourself. You're looking at your goals and your intentions and aligning to them. And even when you're looking at yourself, you're more prone to have positive thoughts about yourself. My hair looks nice today. I like my smile. Those simple things, as silly as they sound, shift your energy.
Oh, absolutely. They make a huge difference. Those things we say
Mhm.
to ourselves, and we become unconscious of them. And if we're saying negative ones,
Mhm.
draining our energy down. So I like that. I love the simplicity of it and the practicality of it, Beth. It's awesome.
It literally takes next to no time. And this is the thing that people tend to take it for granted. Right?
Mhm.
That's why I have a community and coaching, because you have to train in the beginning. You have to train your brain to do this. You have to
Mhm.
train yourself. So that's why I say put the frame in the bathroom, because it's a nice reminder. It's setting yourself up for success, because it's not habit to think this way. But it can become habit. It can absolutely become your default. It takes about 21 days of showing up consistently. And let me just say, I get excited. You learned this
Awesome.
about me in in our first go around. But you know, again, it's like 5 minutes of your day. And this
Yeah.
is what I just start here, because once you build this habit, we all can spare a couple of minutes, a few minutes in the morning and do this. And then once you do that, you start habit stacking on top of it, add another 5 minutes of something, it ripples through your day. And that's the transformation. That's the shift. The
Mhm.
one more quick point on that about normalized pain. And I had an aha moment on this myself because I'm going to compare it to drinking coffee,
Okay.
right? We're all, a lot of us, not we're all, a lot of us are living in normalized pain. We
Yeah.
have forgotten, right? I mean, we've forgotten what it feels like to feel good, to feel optimistic, to feel energetic, because we're just go, go, go. I drink black coffee. I used to drink, yeah, lots of coffee and all the things in it.
Mhm.
And so I just drink black coffee. The other day I had a coffee and my husband said, for whatever reasons, he put some sweeteners in there. Oh my goodness, the pain. And I'm like, it brought back memories that I was drinking coffee with all these chemical additives in them. And it made my stomach not feel good. But mentally it was soothing. It was like my morning routine.
Because it was habit and your body was used to it.
It was my habit. It became normalized pain for me to have this gut pain because I was trying to soothe my mind, because I was going into my crazy day. And it was like, well, that was my comfort thing, my cup of coffee.
Mhm.
I compare it to coffee. but it's so many aspects in our days. So this awakening, if you will, this exercise helps us to remember what it feels like to feel good. Don't accept, anything less.
Right. We want to ignite that life force energy. We all have it, and
Mhm.
things have dulled it. And I
Mhm.
love even just talking about the coffee because years ago I started drinking it black too. Although once in a while, when I go out for a treat, I will put cream and sugar in it, and it has, like you said, a different effect, but I don't get the stomach pain. But it's about making those choices for ourselves that you're talking about, right? Do I want my tea black? Do I want it with cream and wine? So when we make that choice, we can make the choice to take 2 or 5 minutes, like you're saying, in the morning to really get intentional,
Mhm.
and shift into what matters to us. And it's so simple,
Yeah.
but it's very intentional because how easy it is to pick up that phone. Right.
Mhm.
I love what you're sharing.
Yeah. I mean, so many women that I work with, when we first start, they'll say the number one thing that they need, that they're looking for, is either motivation or willpower. Comes up over and over and over again. And I
Hmm.
keep going back to, no, it's clarity, it's alignment, it's start there.
Okay.
The willpower, the motivation comes from there. When you remember what it feels like to be good and what you want, what lights your soul up,
Yeah.
then you want more of that. Willpower, motivation becomes easy.
Right.
Of course, there's booby traps in life, and we'll get into that next. But
But a lot of
it's an American
motivation,
lifestyle. Oh, go ahead.
you've got a lot of motivation is external. And we're here talking about doing what's internal and feels good because when we're in alignment with our truth, with who we really are, how we want to feel, like you said, we don't need that motivation. We need some practical habit steps to help us readjust and tweak. But I don't know, motivation and inspiration are so different. And I think of inspiration as, like you said, the breath, and that's our life force.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate what you're sharing. What is tip number 2 that you have
Yes.
for our leaders
So,
today?
so we've talked about the dreaming it, the aligning to it, the starting your day being intentional, being aware, awake to it. Step number 2 is plan it. Now, I'll caution here. Again, these are 5-minute exercises. Do it for your life picture, but then do it, on your Sunday or your Monday morning, whatever, and then do it each morning, like just a little reconnect with it.
Okay.
Because you have to be cautious not to get stuck in. And I'm guilty of, I can get stuck in the planet one, right? Planet, planet, planet. It's got to be perfect. But step number 2 is planet. And when I say planet, I'm talking just thinking about, okay, in this day, I've just done my breath work. I've just, done a few minute rounds of breath, and I know what I want to accomplish today. Create a to-do list. What are your top 3 priorities, or top 2 this finger doesn't want to cooperate here. 2 priorities for the day.
Mhm.
So really prioritize those things, put them on your to-do list. And here's the part that people skip. Think about your time, right? So we we have 50 item long to-do lists. We set ourselves up
Okay.
for failure. But that's not a good place to start your day from, because there's no human way possible that you can get to everything on that list. So you're setting yourself up for failure right from the start. So I have a tip. Set
Okay.
up a to-do list, assign times to things so you can calendar it. So you know realistically, honestly, what you can get done in your day. My tip is, I'm going to give you what I call my parking lot method, because my mind is super active. I'm a person who does like to hustle, right? I love to be busy. I love to have a lot going on, intentionally though, right? Things that I choose. So when I'm always, the brain is churning and thinking a lot, I have my to-do list, and at the bottom of the page, keep a regular notebook. I just jot down things that come to me,
Yeah.
things that I don't want to lose track of. Take them out of here. It's very cathartic, the act of, I would recommend literally a pencil, pen, and paper versus online. We can talk about why, but and just have call it your parking lot. There's no stress with it. These are things I'd like to get to. You can refer back to them. You can, I'm not going to lose them. They're in the parking lot. I can let them out, go. I can clear up some brain space. It's really helpful and inspiring, and gives you that feeling of of accomplishment just to have it captured. And then you can know, how you want to prioritize and when you want to elevate something up, right? What, depending on the season of life that you're in, um, you can put big concept ideas there and know that you need to return to it later. Because right now it's a broad concept and you need to, okay, break it down into 13 minor steps, right?
Yeah.
So that's the other thing too. Make sure that what you put on your to-do list is clearly defined and not just a broad, I need to work on my website today. Well, what do you need to do on your website? Be more specific. So tip number 2 is definitely just a better management of your to-do list. One, keep a to-do list because some people their to-do list is constantly scrolling in their brain. Keep a handwritten to-do list. Mine's in my trusty notebook. Goes everywhere with me.
I've got a daily
And
one.
yeah, and I love it. It's so funny. I've got like, I don't even want to guess how many. I was joking I have to do a video of this. I need coaching around this, letting things go, because I have all of my to-do lists from decades, a decade at
Oh,
least, to-do lists in a cabinet. And there are all these pretty notebooks. I get the same notebook every time and I just keep using them, but they become like a journal because one side is my to-do list. The other side is my meal planning, I'm a runner. So my training, so I can look back. Like I just decided, I think I'm going to do the Boston Marathon this year. So I'm referring back to some of my previous training ones to see, measure where I was at with my running and everything. So anyway, to-do list, detailed, assigned time is important, and parking lot.
I like that assigned time part. That's, I use a similar strategy when I'm focused, like reverse engineering it and putting on, but I've been guilty of putting too much on there and becoming overwhelmed because of it. And without the assigned time, I might not get to it. But if I feel like when you share assigned time, it's helping us stay self-accountable
Yes.
to that. Like this is, and saying no to the distractions that come up because life brings constant distractions, doesn't it? Especially when you have kids on top of it.
So you just hit on a key point, Kat, because the other thing that keeping this to-do list with times so that you have an awareness of what you need to get done in that day, what you want to get done, what you're intentionally going to get done, is it makes it so much easier to say no with ease and grace and without the guilt. Because our time is just our most precious commodity and we tend to just give it away. But every time you give it away, you're saying no to something. And so having that awareness of space and time and just that your capacity and what you can do makes it easy to just be able to say no or to delegate or ask for help, right? And it's a good practice to be in. And here's the other reason is that we talked about habits. And this is what I'm doing right now in my webinars with people in the holiday season, because the holidays were especially prone to doing this, right? We're just going to do all these other things, but no one's looking at their schedule and talking about the things they're going to take off their list in order to add all these cookie baking and wrapping and buying and shopping and entertaining, and decorating. I mean, the list goes on. So where can we adjust?
Okay.
What is the most important things in that list? And what do we have to say no to in order to make room for these other things? And a lot of times we're doing things out of habit.
Right.
Well, when I question, and this isn't a confrontational thing, it's just well, why are you doing it this way? This was even in my professional career, right? In reorganizing legal departments and legal systems. Well, why are we doing it this way? Well, it's just the way it's always been done, right? It's by doing these steps, it helps you stay grounded in the season of life that you're in the present moment. And just because you did something in the past does not mean it has to follow you through every season. And it's okay to say no, right? To say, I don't have capacity this year to do that thing.
I appreciate you sharing that, because I have let go of so many things specifically during the holiday season. And I've talked to other women about it. And, we do all the things, so many things to make it perfect,
Mhm.
yet we're so stressed and we don't enjoy it. And it's about giving ourselves permission to take a few things off the list. I
Yep.
love, and, and it sounds almost like revolutionary, right? But or rebelling, but if we want to stay grounded and full, we have to let go of some things. You also reminded me of when my kids were, all three of them had the same kindergarten teacher. And she would have Mrs. Doyle's must do's. They had three must do's they had to do every day. Everything else was like gravy, but there were three must do's. And we were talking like everything I needed to know, I really did learn in kindergarten, right? It's
Yeah.
so
It
simple what you're sharing.
I laugh like in my training because some of it is like, think about what you would tell your toddler, like the rinse and repeat kind of things that like snack time, healthy snack before bad snacks, taking breaks in your day or naps. Like we don't we when did we turn our backs on our own advice, right? We just got
Right.
so busy and started sort of responding again to, right, all that external messaging. But we know inherently how we want to live, how we should live, what's good for us, what our mind, body, soul needs. We just have to remember how to listen to it. So these steps are all the tactical steps that help you to continually reconnect, right? That message in our first um, uh,
Right.
program, our first session.
Finding hustles. Yeah.
Yep.
And I wanted to comment on one more thing, because you keep going back to, and this resonates with me in the work that I do, listening to in here into ourself. We have it here because many years ago I worked with an energy healer. I've worked with a lot of them, and she would tell me, "You are not a human doing; you are a human being."
Yep.
You know? But to get rid of my to-do lists. And so for a long time I did, and that caused me a lot more struggle. It's finding that inherent balance, I think, is what we're talking about, because those to-do lists are very useful. And maybe I didn't need to make them so long, maybe some tweaks or adjustments, but completely throwing them away didn't serve me either. It's like, so I love that you're so intuitive and intentional, but still incorporating these practical things. We need both. It's not either or, right? It's both and is what I'm getting.
It
And
is. It's the harmony, right? I sometimes even kind of move away from the word balance and kind of go with living in harmony with, because it's gonna always, right? And that's the thing with the to-do list is I find, and again, there's a balance harmony here of how to do to-do lists, right? The right way versus the to-do list owning you. That's why we start off the day with that going internal, you know, 2 to 5 minutes of breathing to be intentional about our day. And then this is just our reminder system. It's just setting ourselves up for success in our environment, right? We have to set ourselves up for success both mentally and physically.
yeah,
And I think the part that people miss often is the mental kind of preparation for their day. And then that's when they become a slave to the external, and the environment controls them versus them controlling their environment. So it's that having those things in harmony. And the other thing I was going to say to you too, you brought up a comment about, the interruptions to our days, because that's the other thing. This, we can control how we are responding to the world. We can't control what's going on in the world, right? We all try, and we all try to
right.
have this perfectionism and control everything around us, but that's not reality. So
Mhm.
when you are intentional, when you're when you're grounded, when you've got these reminders, it helps you to modify with the ebb and flow of the day. When curveballs come your way, when something happens, you
Mhm.
know what you can just say, well, I guess I'll get to it tomorrow without guilt or worry. And what you know how you can shift with more ease and grace and give yourself permission to.
Mhm.
And that keeps you from spiraling. Because a lot of us spiral. When something
Oh, yeah.
happens that throws us off our game, then it's like, well, now it's all. I'll just have to get back. Like we spiral for the day and get into maladaptive behaviors. And
Right. Go back to that default
yeah,
programming. And we really want to take back our power and implement these new habits, right? To stay on point. I mean, we're all human and it happens, but I think some of the magic is just getting back in alignment quicker and quicker with all
Mhm.
these tools, instead of staying stuck or in that spiral. I love all this. And I could talk about tip number 2 so much more, but I want to jump into number 3
I
because
know, I was gonna say, I just looked at the time, like, oh, we have tip
sure.
number 3.
So what is the third tip that you have for people for taking
And
back?
I love this one again for its simplicity, but also you alluded to it in one of your earlier comments. And I was like,
Oh,
aha. I was like, oh, that was the perfect segue for tip number 3. And then we got off on a different subject. But so tip number 3 is right. So we dream it, we plan it, and we're doing it. Now we're living it.
mhm,
So throughout your day, you should be trying to just take similar breaks, just a couple of minutes, have
mhm,
reminders around you to help you just 2 minutes of that breathing. Just ground you, remember, just kind of repeat what you did in the morning. My tip is that a lot of times in our day, and this is what we're just talking about,
mhm.
there's a lot of energy and things happening externally that we can't control. And we can tend to start to go into that negative, unproductive voice in our head, that talking. If you simply add, and it's okay, train
Mm,
yourself. I was just doing this with a client the other day, and she was lamenting how she felt like she had fallen back. She was making all this progress, and then they'd had a trauma in the family, and some things happened over the holidays. And so she was like, well, I didn't do my morning breathing. And I said, okay. And every statement that you're making, end it with, and it's okay. It stops you from spiraling. It frees you. It's like giving yourself a hug and just
yeah.
saying, and it's okay. So have the frustration, have the anger, have the moment, but then and it's okay. Just catch yourself. And again, this is habit building. It's a little mechanical when you first start doing it, but it becomes second nature. And it's just so
Yeah.
exciting when you just catch yourself doing it automatically without, having like this steps
I
to do it.
I have to say, I love that one because it is such a simple pattern interrupt and so powerful for women
Mhm.
because a lot of us tend to beat ourselves up when we don't do the thing we should do, right? Or mess it up. So it's okay. I love that. And
And
it's okay.
it's
I wrote
okay.
it down. I might start using it because I can tend to fall into those default patterns as well, like as much as I know. And this is a really simple practice and strategy to just reset and refocus.
It all of it is. Kat.
Mhm.
That's the thing that to me is it's that's why I say you have to have that wake up kind of
Mhm.
moment, that awakening to how it feels to feel good again and alert and alive in our days. But then
Yeah.
once you have that, these are easy steps to implement in your day. They're really steps we learned back when we were young, right? And we just forgot them along the way. But it takes support, like-minded people, having, that community,
Yeah.
like going to the gym or you have to build the habits again. You've got to sort of unlearn the unproductive stuff and relearn the productive stuff. So it's a little bit of some, coaching and support and practice. But it can be easy. It really can. It doesn't have to be. I need to go through this great transformation and all this heavy.
Right. And then we get overwhelmed. I had a coach about a decade ago tell me or invite me to use the mantra, let it be easy, you
Let it
know,
be easy. Yeah.
because we always think it's got to be so hard and then we get overwhelmed and scared, right? And just so let it be easy. And that just like, and it's okay, seem very soothing and gentle,
Yes.
but powerful reframes, right?
Yep. That's
Just
tip number 4 right there, right? Is just and let it be easy. Don't and that's what I coach even when I start working with women and helping them make this shift. Don't Okay, we're going to leave perfectionism at the door, right? This doesn't have to be done perfectly, right? We have that modify and just, consistency is important, but you modify and you show up each day, but um just don't make it a project.
right.
I'm guilty of this in my earlier days, right?
Mhm.
Everything was a project. That's when you get stuck in that planning mode, right? Because we make it. Why do we make it so much bigger than it needs to be? Just let it be easy. Sometimes easy's a lot of times easy's a-okay.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
I've been for the last decade simplifying. I mean, I tend to overcomplicate and overthink, but I've been simplifying And I am so surprised at how much more I can simplify and let it be easy. It's, and
Feels good.
when everything is simple and there's less, we have so much more energy, don't we?
Mhm.
Like, and so these three basic simple steps that you're having us like recalibrate ourselves with or bring back in, they're powerful. And I appreciate
Yeah,
you sharing them.
absolutely.
How
I,
did,
I wish I wish I had the number off the top of my head of the number of decisions, the tens of thousands of decisions that we make on a daily basis. There's a stat I just saw. I just don't have it off the top of my head. That's why I go back to that to do. Anything you can do to streamline the amount of decisions we're making in a day. That's what that are overwhelming us is
yeah.
gonna be beneficial. But
Remember,
they
Steve
have it.
Jobs had, I think it was him in his biography, and talked about he used to like he streamlined his clothing, right? He just
Mhm.
had the same type of shirt or the same shirt and the same.
Yep.
To think about that, it eliminated one more decision. And I'm not saying that's what our viewers have to do, but finding the things in your life that you can simplify and take those decisions off your plate so you can focus on the ones that really matter. Because a lot of our viewers are like you, Beth. They are powerful women who are creating things in the world for other women. The world, I mean, it is shifting. And we need more women to step up and not be distracted or make excuses or live in that doubt. So if they can work with people like you that help simplify things so that they can really own their power and show up, I mean, the world will be so much enhanced.
Yeah, and that's why I create these communities. Selfishly, I love to be surrounded by women who are living in alignment with and have that joy and that energy, right? And it's not again, it's not perfect. It's not every second of every day. Like, don't get me wrong,
Right.
right? We have, but the key is, how we're getting back on our paths versus the spiraling.
Yeah.
So, and giving ourselves the space to have that. But
And
yeah.
the permission to be okay with when it doesn't work out. It's
Perfect.
progress, not perfection. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm going to keep that. And it's okay. I think I'm going to put that on my mirror. You talked about earlier in the episode putting something on your
Yep.
mirror, and I've gotten away from that. So that might go up on a sticky note
There you
today
go. Yep.
and teach
Well,
my kiddo that.
I love that. What did someone say? Put a post-it on your, on I love you. Don't put it on your forehead. Put it on your mirror so that you're looking at your, whatever. Like, just
Mm,
remind, yourself that, yeah.
yeah.
Just so
Well,
setting yourself up. So and I provide so much more of this in my, in my free group, and just tips and reminders of ways to set yourself up. Because again, it has to be that harmony of mentally setting yourself up for success, but also your environment, right? Just having, like you said, these reminders on your mirror, or these, to-do lists, and how to do that, and just kind of refreshers on how to get the two, all the pieces working together so that you have that harmony in your life.
so when you did all this for yourself,
Mhm.
did you find that you were actually more efficient and could get more done with the simplicity? Yep.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Even it's kind of funny you were talking about the clothing. Like, I streamline I do that actually, because I wrote a piece on this. Remember, for those of you that have had children, when you had your pregnancy wardrobe,
Mhm.
I remember thinking how neat and efficient and clean and organized and well prepped and well accessorized, right? Because I was in the professional world, but it was limited, and I would just keep going through the same things. And guess what? Nobody faulted. No one's commented, "Oh, Beth's wearing that outfit again," or you know what I mean. Like, no one cares. But it was it streamlined my day. I could get out, in the mornings easier, and so like I have found ways to be tremendously more efficient in my days, but I will caution, when you become more efficient. There's a great story around this about us tour guide saying, okay, we're going to go this path because it's going to shave 5 minutes off of our route. We're going to have more found time. And when one of the people on the tour, they went that way. Then they stopped and they sat on a bench, and he's like, well, what are you doing? He's like, well, we have 5 minutes. We've 5 found minutes. I'm going to sit here and enjoy my 5 minutes. And they're like,
Time.
no, we gotta get to the next thing. That's what we do, right?
Mhm.
We just keep running to the next thing. And so I had found time more efficiency, but I was very mindful, because I do this practice, about how I wanted to spend that time. I invested in my meditation practice, in my, in my holiday season, adding stuff in when I want and then letting it go. And so be mindful. It creates efficiency, but be mindful
Okay.
about that. Don't just create more time to create more busyness.
That's a great distinction and a great tip. I really appreciate you sharing that with our viewers. I wish we could keep
Absolutely.
going. We are a little out over the time.
I
But
know.
where can women find you if this really resonates with
Yeah.
them? What are the best ways for them to reach out to you?
Honestly, and I don't know if everyone's on Facebook, but the best way is just to look for Beth Hankin Wellness on Facebook, because you can get instantly into my free community. So you can start, getting reinforcements on these tips and reminders and just a lot of good stuff. So Beth Hankin Wellness is my business page. There's where you'll find links to my webpage. My webpage is Beth Hankin Wellness. So,
Awesome.
it's all pretty easy that way. You can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, my webpage. So,
Awesome. Well,
yeah.
I love that. I hope people reach out to you. I hope they found value in this. I appreciate all of you who are tuning in live or watching the replay. It's been great, Beth. If you want to come back again in the future, we'd love to have you.
I have a lot to say on this. So absolutely. And that's my mission. So if I'm happy to come on as often as you need. If the audience, if it sparks something, ignites something in just one more woman and they have that awakening, then
That's powerful.
absolutely. Then that fills my soul. So
Awesome. Well, you filled my soul today. Thank you.
thank you.
It's been wonderful having you here. Thank you all for watching. If you want to reach out to me, you can find me at catmoulton.com and watch creatrix.tv to catch all the replays and see the redefining episode with Beth, or redefining hustle episode, I should say. So thanks again. Bye-bye for now.